Thank you, Mr. Chair. So when you talk about the coding and the logic test, I mean, I understand there was some concern that whether or not the voting machines can be connected to the internet, whether they have a modem, it seems pretty clear that that's unlikely. But what about the actual logic and code and programming of the machines themselves? If there was could there be some kind of tampering with that? I mean, these are the types of allegations that we hear. What do you have to say?
There's so many checks in Arkansas, and I think Arkansas does a great job, and I'm all for making it even more secure. And I've spent 28 years of my life making sure they're secure, but I think the one thing that there's so many checks that the counties have the actual paper ballots. They check back to our website. They check the coding beforehand to make sure it counts properly. County clerks are involved in that testing sometimes for early voting, especially since they're the custodian of that. And that's a lot of times where errors are caught. But I've yet to see anything that's not a human error. And that's in, like I said, over 28 years. And I coded elections for White County for 16, and I made human errors at times. And I think that's what we're dealing with. That most of the errors would be a human error if there's anything wrong on the ballots. Now, I think that one of the strong things Arkansas does is in the last session, the legislators made a good decision to not allow any of the equipment to be connected to the internet. So the DS200s are not connected. The express votes are only a marker anyway. They're never connected to anything. And then the actual tabulation computers are locked down to where they're not able to be connected to the internet. So it would be very difficult to hack into that. If there was a hack to say, and I've said this at technology committees and in other ways, it would probably be from the transfer from the county, the results to the state, and then the county would catch that because they have the actual physical results still at the county.
Which I'd like to add on to that. And if
Representative Gasway, do you have a follow-up?
I did, yes.
Representative Hammer, did you want to finish the comment on his first question?
I can be called into question by Daniel. He could come and check it, or Leslie can check me on it. But the one thing we need to remember is that when the county takes the vote and they send it to the Secretary of State, if there's a question that something has happened between where the Secretary of State has that final information and what is reported to Secretary of State, there are checks and balances. So, some would subscribe to the theory that it goes up through Nebraska or some other place, and that the materials or the votes are hijacked in that process. The problem with that theory is that our county clerk is able to see the number that was sent, and if it deviates from what's recorded at the Secretary of State, then our county clerk is able to catch it at that point. And that's just part of the multiple checks and balances that are built into our voting system to make sure we have good election integrity.
You need a follow-up?
Yes.
You're recognized.
So I'm a little less concerned about the tabulation and how it makes it from one place to another than I am the coding. I mean, it sounds like you used to do the coding where you were located. I mean, do we just let anyone code these machines and how they're going to record votes? I mean, what safety protocols and standards do we have in that regard?
So the County Board of Election Commissioners, they put the data into the vendor, which is ES&S, to code the elections. They're all trained coders. Most of them that we've worked with since 2005, or at least for probably 5 to 10 years, we've worked with most of these coders, and we talk to them on occasion for a county. And then, like I said, there's 5 counties that go through a very intense training to code their own elections. Saline County used to be one, White County is one, Pulaski. And that's an option that the county pays for themselves. If they want to code their own elections, they pay for the software, they pay for the maintenance. And those are the ones that, like I said, they go through a very intense training and have direct line to coders from the vendor. So no, not just anyone's coding the elections.
Representative Beck, you're recognized for a question.
My question was answered.
Okay, Representative Miller, you're recognized.